Welcome to another episode of Locked In. In this episode, I'm going to be discussing how you can actually run basically mountain bike style gearing on your gravel bike so that you can have the ultimate wide range adventure gearing for bikepacking, gravel riding, or anything in between, and still maintain a decent top speed on your bicycle. So if you want to hear more about that, please stay tuned. So in this video, I'm going to be going over the components you're going to need to achieve this, and I am going to be using an 11-speed SRAM drivetrain. It is set up 1x. Then I'm going to be talking about a little bit of the numbers and how you can actually achieve a wider range of gearing with just basically 2 simple upgrades, and going over the numbers of what that means for you actually on the bike while riding. So let's first break into the drivetrain. Now I am using all Apex components. They are 11-speed, and this setup will work with any mechanical system. As most of you may know, SRAM Axs Eagle in their Mullet build is basically the halo product for SRAM gravel or bikepackers really want, and I wanted to create a budget version of this that you can achieve with your 11-speed system without having to go 12-speed and save some money. And if you want to hear more about this in detail, I am actually creating a build series on this channel that's currently up, where you can see my Cobalt Warhawk frame set built up with this basically monster gravel mullet budget bike build. So make sure to check the links in the description. So the components you're going to need to change on basically any of your 1x SRAM level of components, whether that's Apex, Rival, or Force, is you want to upgrade the rear cage on the bike. Now I'm using the Garbaruk, I believe I'm pronouncing that right, rear cage assembly. Basically this is going to extend the lower section of the cage, so no matter if you have a medium or a long cage rear derailleur, you can simply swap this out to achieve the wider range of gearing that you're going to want so that you can run a 50-tooth cassette, or obviously a 46 or anything smaller. So you're going to simply replace the rear cage with this unit, and I'm going to have a separate video on how I did this if you want to get more technical on the installation process. After that, the only other thing you're going to need to achieve this is obviously Zito 950 cassette, and this is really the secret sauce for my mullet build, because in my research currently, there is no 9 to 50 cassette in an 11-speed available anywhere. Zito, I think, is the only one who's making them. There's plenty of 950s in the 12-speed variety, but there is no 12-speed mechanical group set that would work with it. So this is the ultimate solution, in my opinion, to extend that range on your gravel bike. And I'll get to why that 9 is so important a little bit later in the video. So you are going to need an XD hub drive body or XD hub drive body compatible wheel set. You don't need to have the new standard of the XDR. It works with the standard XD. So you're going to have to do your independent research on if your wheel set is upgradable. And I will be doing an independent review for this cassette, so make sure to turn notifications on so you can see that video coming soon. So now let's get into a little bit of the numbers. Now, I'm going to be throwing a lot of things at you, but I'm going to try to simplify this down so you can understand it the easiest way I can explain it myself. Most gravel bikes are going to come with a 40-tooth front chainring. So let's just say that's your standard chainring for the front. And for the rear, most bikes, an 11-tooth to a 40, maybe a 46 in the rear. The big difference is that I want you to keep in mind is 1 tooth smaller in the rear is like 3 teeth bigger in the front. So for numbers' sake, if you went from an 11 to a 10-tooth cassette in the rear, that would be like taking your 40-tooth chainring and bumping it up to a 43 if you were to keep the 11-tooth in the rear. So doing that same process again to step down to a 9-tooth cassette, that's like adding 6 teeth to the front. What that means is, let's say you have a 40-tooth chainring and you want to maintain the same top end, but you want more climbing gear. You could simply shrink that front ring down to a 34-tooth with a 9-tooth in the rear and have the same top speed as your 4011. So I know that's a lot of information, so hopefully that makes sense. So let's bust into a little bit that I want to show you on this chart to kind of give you an idea of what that actually means as far as speed goes. I have basically a 32, a 34, a 36, and a 40-tooth chainring with a 9-tooth and an 11-tooth for your rear cassette. So let's start with your standard gear range of a 4011 at 90 RPM, or setting your cadence at 90, which is basically what I think is kind of the middle ground for most people. So at 90 RPM with a 4011 gear range, you're going to be sitting at 26.7 miles an hour. And in my opinion, that's a pretty decent top speed for a gravel bike. unless you're doing a long road descent or doing a long hero gravel style of descent, or you're just an excellent bike handler, that's a decent top speed, but I could see if you wanted to improve that. So let's say that you wanted to keep your 40-tooth ring and you wanted a little more top end, and you wanted to change your cassette out to something with a 9-tooth as your smallest cog. So that's gonna bump up your top speed all the way up to 32.5 miles an hour, and that's a big increase. So if you want to simply change your top end and keep that climbing gear that you currently have because you like it, that would be a simple change with just a cassette swap. Now on the other end, let's say you wanted to keep that top speed and 26.7 miles an hour is just enough for you, but you want a little bit more climbing gear. Let's look at what a 34.9 would be versus the 4011. So a 34.9 is going to give you 27.7 miles an hour. That's actually a half mile an hour more than your standard 4011. Now I know I'm throwing a lot of numbers around, but I just want to show you that this allows you to extend the range of your bike very simply, depending on what you're looking for. So what that means is, if you have your 34.9 setup, you're going to have the same top end that you had with your 4011, but you're going to be gaining a lot more climbing gear. So at your lower cadence, when you're grinding up that hill, or you're doing a loaded bike packing ride, or you're doing some crazy 15 to 25% incline on a gravel road, you can simply sit and spin at a lot higher cadence, so you're not grinding or blowing out your knees, or potentially having to stand up to keep the power down and slipping that rear tire. This is going to give you so much more variety or versatility in your gravel riding. So this is how you can actually maintain a decent top end with essentially a mountain bike level of gearing, so you can climb up those steep climbs or carry all that extra video equipment or camping equipment that you want to create your cycling content or do an epic bike packing ride. So I hope this makes sense for you guys. If you guys have any further questions, please make sure to comment in the comments below. I do my best to answer them as soon as possible. And I wanted to show you guys how you can actually make this 1x drivetrain really versatile depending on what you're going to ride. So I hope you like this video. Please make sure to subscribe and turn notifications on. You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Links are in the description as well as all of the links for the video reviews that I currently have for all these products mentioned. And check out that bike build series that I'm doing to create a budget mullet bike build. And if you're interested in picking up a new gravel bike with massive tire clearance, all the bike packing mounts, you can use my coupon below to pick up one of the Cobalt Warhawk frame sets with a 25% off coupon code. And thanks for watching another episode of Locked In.
Let's get locked in today. Like to